Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 11. About to jump into some ranked ladder with Taliyah Ziggs, and this is kind of an interesting deck. It was kind of picking up some steam before A Curious Journey came out. Once A Curious Journey came out, everyone was busy building their Gnar decks and building their Yuumi Pantheon decks, and this kind of fell by the wayside for a bit. But now it started to pick up a bit of traction again. And it's what I consider to be it's more of an aggro deck than a combo deck, but it does have big kind of game ending combos to it. And so the reason we talk about all this is kind of in the early game you can pull off these really aggressive curves. We're playing the Ancient Preparations plus the Inventive Chemist at 1, the Rock Hoppers at 2, the Endless Devouts and Ziggs at 3. And so you can relatively easily curve out your first 6 mana all into units, chunk your opponent down to 10 or 12 or whatever. The kind of combo aspect of this involves the Taliyah, the Ziggs, and the Absolver. Taliyah is kind of the preferred way to go about it, but what you'll kind of frequently see with a flipped Taliyah is she attacks, your opponent blocks it with a 3-3. The 3-3 soaks up 2 of the disc hits, and then you just hit your opponent for like 2. Very similar things happen with Ziggs, as to where he attacks, your opponent blocks up with a 1-1. His bouncing bomb ability kills off that unit, but he doesn't get to deal his 3. And so what we're looking to do with this is make this big open attack with a flipped Taliyah. We want to take full advantage of all of her stats, and so that's where we're going to come into having the Absolver, right? So if we say have flipped a Taliyah, we open, we unleashed energy to give her +4 attack. We play both halves of the Absolver on her. That's going to give her +8 attack, so she has 12 naturally, and then also has the additional 6 coming in from her ability. So it's a gigantic 18 damage boom coming into your opponent that should end the game if you've managed to chunk a bit of their life down with the aggressive aspects of the deck. And so the same thing can be done with Ziggs. Ziggs doesn't do it as powerfully, but Taliyah is what we're really looking to slam into our opponents with here. Then, of course, we just have some kind of standard things to help close out the games. Herald of the Magus giving both of our champions Overwhelm, so they still have those abilities. And then the Arsenal is a fantastic game closer. And so you should be seeing, more and more of these lists running around. I'm playing 3 Ancient Preparations. This is probably the biggest point of contention that you'll see. I like it in terms of both having a card that lets you make these early game aggressive plays, just really wanting to spend that first 6 mana on units. Ancient Preparations really helps with that. And then as we approach kind of like the mid to late game, when we need to say find a Taliyah, we need to find the Arsenal, we need to find the Absolver, it really helps us predict what we need to finish the game off. The other kind of differences you'll see around the various lists, we're only playing 1 Pokey Stick. A lot of decks play up to 3. I haven't been super impressed with it in this deck here. I would almost prefer to just have Shaped Stone as a means to have a 1 damage or a 1 cost interactive ability, as opposed to the kind of value generator that we get out of Pokey Stick. The other things you'll kind of often see would be Ancient Hourglass, which I don't think is necessary. You might see Rite of Negation, which can be okay, but I think our combo turns usually cost 7 between Double Absolver, Unleashed Energy. It's too tough to make it cost 11, so I'm not the hugest fan of it. And I really like to focus more on this early game aggressive aspect, so where we're playing 2 Unraveled Earth, 3 Unleashed Energy, 3 Rite of the Arcane. And so this is what we'll be doing battle with today. In terms of matchups, the thing you must know with this is it is abysmal against Yuumi Pantheon. Yuumi Pantheon will absolutely annihilate this deck. I think the last time I looked at the stats, the Yuumi Pantheon was like a 66 or 67% win rate over this. But as we play this more and more, we're just intending to ban Yuumi Pantheon and Gauntlet. And so as terms of the other matchups, like the Darkness matchup is okay. All of the other matchups are fine unless it's kind of like a swarm deck, right? If your opponent is playing, say, the like Yordles and Arms style swarm decks, or the things, the Fey kind of decks are fairly bad. If your opponent's throwing a bunch of hungry Owlcats onto the board, you're going to be in for a bad time. I think that's a fairly safe statement to say. And so if you're looking to take this to the ladder, kind of depending on what you're running into quite a bit, Taliyah Ziggs, can have some extremely strong matchups and a lot of above average matchups, but it's also got some abysmal ones out there. It's fairly polarizing. We're looking at this in terms of something to take into the gauntlet tomorrow, but it could also be a decent ladder climber since the Yuumi Pantheon's only like 7 or 8% of the meta. It's not like with Azir Aurelia where they're up in like the 20s. And so even though it is a fairly bad matchup, you still can climb pretty reasonably, even with its popularity. And so, as you all know, before we get into the battles, we do have to pay the pay-to-win price. I'm not exactly sure what we have available to turn premium. What do we got? The Hexplosive Minefield. Let's see, premiums across the board. Unraveled Earth is a good one. It generates some cards. And Desert Naturalist. Oh, you're rare, though. I was like, oh my gosh, we haven't levered up Desert Naturalist in all of these expeditions, but she's a rare. That makes a bit of sense. And so, let's go with the Unraveled Earth. It's a good one, right? It's technically 3 premium cards in one, given that it's premium itself, and then it puts the 2 Roiling Sands on the board. So, getting the premium treatment. And let's get to it. Jump right into battle. Oh yeah, done, play, Dex, Taliyah Ziggs. No. Play versus player, Taliyah Ziggs. There we go. All right. So happy 311 day for y'all out there. It's nice, nice little musical adventure. I love me some 311. I've got to see them live a few times. It really blows my mind when bands are able to make it that long. It's so like crushing for these bands when it's like, here, let's keep our early curve, get our aggression going. But it's like, you spend a year or two like pouring your heart and soul into an album, and then you get big and you go on tour for it, and you like maybe have enough time to put together one album. But you're hitting it big and have to ride the wave, and so you have to just keep like churning out album after album after album, and it's like the process that may have taken you like 3 years of refining your work, you have to now do in like 6 months, and people wonder why all their albums are shit. And it's so crushing for these people. Like, I'm glad that they get to make the bag, but it's a little sad when people start shitting on them for making terrible music when I don't feel like it's entirely their fault. But here, see, this is like kind of one of the reasons why I like playing the predicts. It's we have this singular copy of Herald of the Magus, and actually just a singular copy of Pokestick as well. But I think we want to be picking up these minefields here. It's kind of an odd draw from opponent where they haven't played any faded units yet, but we might be able to get some stuns coming in to shut down some of their critical turns. All right, now I think we're just stuck opening here. It's pretty terrible if opponent is able to, play a larger unit here and shut down our attacks. This is one of the spaces that you'll find yourself frequently with against Yuumi Pantheon, in that you either have to just like devote tons of resources into a single unit and hope that you eventually get the kill, which I really don't like going for. I do concede that there's times when it feels like you have to do it, but it's not an ideal situation by any means. And but with this, I mean, we can ignore this for a turn. The problem we start to run into now is like, this is a good target for the Hexplosive Minefield, but we don't have like a great board after the fact. Like, lacking just a little bit of aggression. But okay, let's take this 5. There is an argument to put an Endless Devout in front of it to generate the Sarcophagus, but that feels a little meh. I want to like get the stun in and then get our aggression in. Stunned, my dude. All right, he brings in the Mystic. That's going to be a reasonable hook for the Inventive Chemist. I could see an argument for wanting to hit it with a 3/3. So if he has like a Pale Cascade, we don't have to worry about it as much. But we'll see. We're pretty well lined up with good blockers, though. This is one of the big problems you run into with this deck, is just having enough space on the board to do everything that you want. But I mean, I guess it does feel like a win if he has to spend a like a Pale Cascade onto his Blinded Mystic as opposed to using it on the White Flame. Okay, not you. You're the hook. Let's just take him to 3. Okay. Okay. That's pretty low. Getting him to spend mana is pretty good. Got it. Glad we didn't make a big investment in this unit. And the Absolver. Where's our champions at, Absolver? It should still just be good next turn as a combat trick. I think it'll be okay. So the question is, do we want to go for the stun here? Like, I think we're going to, right? We have 8 mana. If we play Rite of the Arcane, sacrifice the Minefield, try to shoot down the Mystic, that should put the stun onto the White Flame. And then we can play 2 units and hopefully get a big open attack next turn. Destroy a landmark. Because I think this guy's angle here is probably to attack with the White Flame and then Golden Aegis and get a second attack in, and that's where he's going to try and get his kill. And so if he has to like play Bastion to stop the stun, then I think this is fine. Bastion doesn't get around. Spell shields don't get around these stuns. It's not a circle stun. I think. To the best of my knowledge. I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again, but...
Would you look at this place?
Okay. So we do still have to worry about the likes of like single combats coming down and shutting some of this down, but we should be able to sneak in a single unit with the Absolver here. Take this one down. Ooh, the second Absolver's choice.
Why not? I'll stop you.
Dead. Game says dead. Game still says dead. Boomed it. Nice. So see, you can beat your worst matchup. Just because they're a 67% favorite on you means you should be winning that about 1 out of 3. GG. Get that record updated. Boop. All right, on to the next one. And so yeah, my musical rant. You know, it's so great seeing like bands like 311 just make it for that long, not hate each other at the end of the day, still be on tour like 20 years later. Whenever you go see them now, they always start to play down and they're like, oh, this is for all of our old school fans out there. That's me. I started listening to them when I was in like middle school or something, and so makes you feel good to get that nice shout out. Okay, running into old Yuumi Pantheon again. It's still reasonable. I mean, we got kind of lucky with that previous opponent to where they didn't have anything to do. Right? They didn't play a unit until the 3rd turn. We can hopefully just power through. You know, if this guy drops the Fated unit on the 1st turn, it kind of sucks for us, but it is winnable. All right, Rockhopper, get in there.
I go.
We're doing it. I guess, you know, one of the perks you can also think with this deck is people shouldn't be super used to playing it. It's just now kind of picking up, and so you know, as you know, we've played against Pantheon decks bunches and bunches of times in a row. They may not know exactly what's coming at them. The deck, the tracker does have this deck thing attached to it, right, where you can click on it and see all the cards that are in the deck. It doesn't give you the numbers, but it gives you all the cards. And I guess they could be doing that against us, but At any rate, I don't think we can drop the Endless Devout. We need to get into combat now. I'm hoping that we can trade the Absolver for the Saga Seeker. It's going to depend on what tricks he plays, right? If he drops a Sharp Sight to get the win, then we might play the Absolver. Or if he drops a Sharp Sight, then we're not going to play anything. But if he does drop like a Pale Cascade or a Armor or something, we may go for a combat trick. Which is this, 6 damage coming at Ziggs? That's kind of fucked up, dude. Oh, this is so brutal if this fails. I don't feel like horrible if we get to take the unit off the board, but if he has a Sharp Sight to get out of this trick on the Saga Seeker, then we're really hurting. All right, well, it should buy us some much-needed time. We aren't really on the game plan we want to be on anymore, but we can't just let that Saga Seeker hang out on the board. He's just going to overpower us. Okay. The big goat plan. We could stun it. How do we feel about stunning it instead? Like, I don't really care about the gems as much as the unit. But yeah, this Taliyah is, I think, just probably too good. We can look at this space to where, like, we drop the minefield and then copy it with Taliyah to stun a bunch of his units, but it feels like we're a little bit short of pulling that off. But we get to draw a ton of cards. Maybe the Arsenal will do his thing. Can definitely try to get a stun with the minefield as well. Let's try this. Let's add the Rockhopper so we can get a hook. Like if he plays a Pantheon or whatever this turn, then we could just hook him out of combat. We can play the minefield to stop something else, and then try and just get a big hit in with Taliyah and Ziggs. Looks like he's going to try and play a combat trick removal. Gosh, it's kind of lame. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we're ready for them battles now. Get all the damages in. Alright, so there's Pantheon. We'll have to hook him. Well, we don't have to hook him with... We can just take him down with Ziggs, right? The Ziggs bomb will break his barrier, and then he'll punch through. Opponent's out of mana. Okay. Alright, alright. 2-0 against the old Pantheon. I assure you this isn't a particularly good matchup, but, you know, it's good to get those wins in when they're offered up. It makes it look good for the video so we can say 80% win rate. Alright. Boom them real hard. And so yeah, kind of the idea with wanting to play this, you should get to see it again tomorrow, is as we like jump into gauntlets. The idea is, you know, how do you want to craft your lineup? What do you want to ban, and what are you going to try to beat up on? I've been looking for these decks to where we can just ban Pantheon. Right? It's such a weird deck in that nothing else plays to this like real go tall type strategy. And so we want to beat up on Pantheon or just ignore that Pantheon exists, and then play decks that can like beat up on Darkness, and hopefully do well enough against the rest of the field. Since the Yuumi Pantheon and Darkness are the top 2 most common decks on the ladder, they're like 25-30% of the meta, and so that's the idea. And then I'm fine to come in and just make these trades. I would prefer to be trading with his actual lurkers instead of this dum-dum, but we don't get tons of choices in the matter. This isn't like playing like we do with scouts, to where we just want to flood the board with units, not make the trades and then get a big 4 Demacia. We don't have the 4 Demacia kind of plays with this style of deck, and so making the trades feels pretty okay. All right, we're going to be counting on this Taliyah to do some work. You got to do some work, girl.
Tried this chemical before. I got an idea.
All right, she's ready to flip. Fairly awkward board otherwise, though. Not a lot of good targets for Taliyah. We can drop the Preservarium this turn and copy it next turn. That's probably the best thing we're going to get out of these. I'm on board. Trade. Got the Rek'Sai, huh? Oh shit, I forget about this. It's one of those predicts to where we don't actually get to play the predict card. That's my bad. Weird. Why would you put a Snapjaw Swarm on top of your deck with Rek'Sai as the next one? Just to set up your attack 2 turns from now? I guess that makes sense.
Distance means so little when family means so much. Let's put these rocks into motion.
He's going to come at us with the Snapjaw Swarm. Not yet. This is fine. Taliyah still safely attacks into these. We could start to play the Hexplosive Minefields, but I want to use those to shut down our opponent's attacks. Like, this still gets the Dum-Dum off of the board, the card out of their hand, and 4 damage to face. Gets us kind of set up if we ever draw a... Absolver. But good, now we're going to get some reasonable blockers in our 2/2s. We have these minefields if we need to blow something up. Stop an attack from Rek'Sai that he just drew. All seems pretty decent to me. Okay, we can take the 5 off this Waking Sands. That's not a big deal. So we'll take this 5. I want to get Preservarium on board. And then, excuse me, we'll play the Naturalist next turn. Blow up the Preservarium and get the stun. We might be close enough with the open here as it is, but turns out it is. GG.
Great day.
Climbing right through them diamond ranks. But yeah, the talk of 311 was reminding me, like, recently I would say I'd kind of discovered The Cure. If you're familiar with the musics, I always thought The Cure and the Smiths were the same band, and I just, like, fucking don't like the Smiths. It's like, I had this, like, growing up just listening to the punk music, it kind of, like, the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones and kind of the ska wave kind of kicked in. It kind of, when I was in, like, late middle school, early high school. And then the kind of musical discovery journey sends you back to the Ramones and the Clashes of the world and that kind of 80s punk scene coming out of London and such. And that's, you know, when you would find The Cure. They came from the late 70s into the early 80s, or it might have been the kind of the mid 80s into the early 90s or something. It's probably the early 90s because they turn up in tons of it's basically the soundtrack of John Cusack is what you could see The Cure as being. But man, they have so many wonderful songs that I just stumbled upon recently just because I thought they were the Smiths. But they have a lot of that similar sound that you see with 311 as we circle back to where we come from, and that 311 has a lot of that reggae-ish sound going to them, and it's what we also get with it's more of like a new wavy kind of thing with The Cure, but it's there most certainly. But all right, onto the action. What are we actually going to do here? It's like I'm kind of wanting this sarcophagus to die, but just the one. And so I think we can just say, like, safely drop Ziggs. My worry with Ziggs is it discourages him from attacking with the Caitlyn. But I'm pretty okay with this. Just letting this fall off, and then we can copy it next turn, and we can start blowing it up and getting the sarcophagus thing going. The question is, do we want to Absolver here? And it's like we're so far from getting the landmarks going that I'm kind of okay with it, but we have to keep the second one for the kill, if that's what it's going to come down to. But I think we just take the sarcophagus while we can get it.
Non-flammable? Is that a challenge?
Alright, so I'm looking to just open with Ziggs next turn, and then we'll Taliyah copy the sarcophagus and see where that gets us. She's definitely not ready for combat. Of course. It's not that bad. That unit was never going to get into combat, but I certainly love to bitch and moan about getting hit by flashbang traps. It's not even the end of the world if we lose one of these champions. We're just kind of building up here.
Pieces are all here. Their identity is right in front of me. You'll figure it out. You always do.
All right, here's the squad. Built over Peacemaker. Okay.
Peacemaker protocol.
I mean, what happens realistically is, right, he attacks with this Caitlyn, we block with the Taliyah, he plays some kind of removal spell, then we play the second Taliyah, and just have 3 sarcophaguses come down next turn. I think I'm pretty on board with just losing Taliyah to make that kind of play happen.
Excuse me.
Right? He's gonna play burn spell, whatever. She's not gonna she's not gonna make it through the night, and then we get to follow up next turn with the big one.
Calling card. Now we wait.
Let's lead with the chemist, though. Oh no, fuck that up. I'm gonna say let's lead with the chemist so that we get a so that we get the landmark. I wanted like Taliyah to come down flipped, but it's not gonna work out how we want. I don't feel like we're completely giving up on this here, but we can still get the flipped Taliyah down next turn, even if it's not for tons of value. Let's get the space on board.
Hey, I am feeling great.
But yeah, that was definitely a loser of a play in the Inventive Chemist. We should have another sarcophagus going with a giant open attack. I think we'll still be okay, though, right? We have the Taliyah. She's going to be flipped along with double Absolver. We won't be able to play both Absolvers, but we can pass Overwhelm out somewhere. Okay. Incoming Mystic Shot, I guess. Weird. I mean, he was going to have the spell mana banked up. I'm not exactly sure why they do that now. Oh, we're a landmark short? Oh, man, we fucked all this up. F. Man.
It explodes, of course.
Definitely needed the copy from Taliyah. We would have been able to get enough landmarks like this turn, right? We could have replayed the thing. I can't completely tell. I've kind of lost out on this sequence. 6 damage, no reason to try and heal through. Little sloppy. But good looking attack though now. I mean, I have to assume that his idea is Mystic Shot onto the Grumpy Rock Bear, right? That was so strange and obvious that shenanigans are afoot when they put the Thermogenic Beam onto the previous turn.
Turning yourself in. No matter.
It's lethal if this is a Mystic Shot play, right? We have 5, 8, 10, 14 with the Absolvers. And he'll be tapped out after he plays the card. All right, GG. So we still got it. A little sloppy. Not sloppy enough to keep us from winning. GG. All right, market of 4. Boom. 100% win rate deck. You saw it here first. All right, game 5. We haven't even played against Nar yet. Everyone in Diamond says no to Nar. But we'll make our way up to Masters eventually. It's a matter of time. I've always kind of felt like, at least playing Hearthstone, that if you could make it to rank 5, you could make it to Legend. But then it was just a matter of being able to play enough games. And, the people that were legitimately good and like at the top of the ladder, sure, they're way better than you, but there wasn't much difference between like Dumpster Legend and the people that made rank 5. It was just if you're able to punch through enough games to overcome a 55% win rate to get to Masters or not. And so I don't know how they do it anymore. I'll click on there and see people in there in like silver and stuff, and it's like, oh, I guess they switched over to the metallic levels of rank, but I'm sure there's still essentially the same concepts there, and so we'll get to Masters eventually with this. It's just I've never really put forth the grind to get out of Diamond, and so we got to do it eventually. All right, up against the old darkness. Nobody's playing 1s or 2-drops today. It's very strange. Here comes the 2-drop. That we'll count Vile Feast as a 2-drop, I guess. All right, get in there and block it, Ziggs. Uh-oh, he's pausing heavily. I was gonna say, has he got an additional Vile Feast for us? That's completely fine. I wasn't expecting too much out of that Ziggs. It's a little unfortunate space we're in now. It's going to be pretty challenging for us to chunk in damage. I'm just going to re-Ziggs here and hook in the 1/1, but this is certainly not a place for a Rockhopper, and the Endless Devout's pretty weak as well. We're getting there, though, Ziggs. We'll get you there. You ready to get this big Absolver hit in? And Darkness is at 3 damage. Not quite ready to take our Ziggs down. I don't want to soak up this damage now that we don't need to. It's a little bit different than it was earlier in terms of he has like the active spell to take our Ziggs down. He's a little bit more important to protect at this stage. Okay. Curious what that means. We do have this like unleashed energy in hand to potentially save him with. I didn't want to have to spend an Absolver to save him, but I think that's just kind of the place we're at now. I want to protect this board. So yeah, this is looking to shape up to be our first loss with the with the Ziggs deck. We've unfortunately going into turn 6 with your Darkness opponent at 20 and having board. It's not the good place to be. We'll of course continue to try, but this is definitely not gone our way. But I mean, if you draw 3 Vile Feasts against an aggro deck, you're in you're in pretty good shape yourself on the Darkness side of things. All right, start to get some Sarcophagus though. We might still be able to boom in a big attack. I mean, right? We do always have this option to blow up the Sarcophagus on an open and hit for tons of damage. which I'm not opposed to. That's scary. It's like I want to add the Preservarium to the board so that we get to the card draw sooner. But it's like this is where Unleashed Energy is kind of like at its prime as to where, at least get to generate the unit out of it. Getting real close. All right. Well, he had to spend a darkness. There wasn't a lot that we could do about that. So we're not going to be able to get a lethal. I don't want to try and blow up this board too big. It's kind of an awkward space that we're in, though. So the thing that we run into now is, of course, we want to use get the sarcophagus blown up. But if we want to add the Desert Naturalist to do the blowing up, that's going to take up too much space on our board. So if we want to get the Naturalist and the Rock Bear out of this, we're going to have to sink into the Hexplosive Minefield. Maybe that's tough. Like on 2 turns ago when we didn't play the Preservarium so that we could protect our Ziggs, I guess he did have the Darkness at that point, but that's just where you have to like worry a little bit in terms of your opponent being able to pick up a 1 or a 2 cost removal spell with Conchologist. So now the new question is, do we just like boom this turn anyways, right? We can say like Unleashed Energy the Rockhopper. I mean, it does at least get around the removal, right? It takes him up to 6 health. It's scary, but let's get them stats on board, I guess. All right. I'm going for it. The Vagar flip's not super important here. I mean, he does have the full combo on board, but he shouldn't be able to lethal us immediately. Hit for 10. So we might be able to do it if we can like pull off a like drawing a Taliyah that doesn't die. We can give her Overwhelm and open or something. We're mana short of being able to do that, but we might have a shot. There's the Taliyah. Booming right to face. What's this at? 6? Sequencing does not seem right. Oh, here comes the face shot. Okay. So I'm gonna look to Rite of the Arcane away Vagar, so we can't just throw these darknesses at our face anymore. So let's deal 4 or destroy a landmark. Well, he's gonna be able to do this one anyways. It's okay. We'll just be slow. Destroy a landmark. Like copying the sarcophagus with Taliyah is not going to do anything real. Man, we're going to be 1 short of giving her Overwhelm. Makes me a little sad. Not big sad, just a little sad. Because we really need the open attack into this deck. Ooh, he's booming stuff now. Okay. The thing I worry about now, though, is it doesn't list this guy's deck history, but it's like Vengeance is manageable. The Ruination is not, and we're kind of leaving ourselves in this spot to where we get blown up by the Ruination. So I don't think an open is just good enough here. It's definitely not now that he's added the Ixtali, but what are we at? We're one away from the darkness killing Taliyah. Okay. Maybe.
They are my people, and I am theirs. Come on, there is so much to see.
All right, ready to boom. Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is an incoming Vengeance, but
Like threading a needle.
let's find out.
I am wearing my goggles.
I think the Taliyah first attack is the way to do it, given that if he blocks her with the Ixtali, then the shards are going to kill it, and he's not going to get the lifesteal. Did we do it? One time? I have to assume that there's got to be an incoming spell that's going to make us a little sad, but we presented a strong lethal here, so if he doesn't have a Vengeance, then he's in trouble. But I have to imagine that with him playing the darkness, that he has other things in hand.
Steady as life and death. No.
Minimorph. It's kind of lame, dude. Kinda lame. Alright.
I understand now.
Give me that good predict. Give me that good stuff. It was okay, I guess. Okay, I guess. We'll take the Preservarium, let us play the card immediately, as opposed to the predict that would let us improve our card quality a turn from now. I think we just have to take the Senna damage. Like, we'll see what they have in store for us, but... Oh, fuck. Double fuck. The Rekindler. I've never seen the Rekindler come out of darkness. Well, maybe that's the new and the hot tech that people are playing these days. Perhaps. But that's okay. I still think the darkness matchup is pretty decent for this deck. It's you have to be building to those open attacks, right? Where we got ourselves into a bind this game was it was like turn 9 and we couldn't open, and our opponent was getting the opportunity to play darknesses and stuff. You can't run into that. But reasonable enough start here against the old Donger and Jace. Haven't seen the Donger in a while. Raise him up. So let's see. How do we feel out of this one? I mean, we have the curve the whole way through. It's a matter of if we want to pop something with this Desert Naturalist. We can't quite hit any of our landmarks if we drop the Ruin Runner and go this route. But I think it's still okay. It's a reasonably powerful curve against what should be a more grindy-ish control deck.
And winds behind me.
Maybe the Roiling Sands will make it to turn 4. Stranger things have happened. They don't want to get their unit mixed up in the Roiling Sands. Ooh, okay. This is interesting. It's like we have, of course, the good Ziggs hook onto it, but we have to take a 6 bomb if we want to do that. I think that's okay. We take the 6 and open, then even if he has an answer to Ziggs, the unit still gets popped by the Dynamite Blast, whatever this thing's called. Short fuse. Let's let the Vile Feast happen before we try to Unraveled Earth. I'm not really excited about the Spiderling having vulnerable. Ancient Prep. We probably want to ensure we pick up the Arsenal out of this one. This game's probably going to go long. Don't have to worry about adding the Arsenal to our hand and then opponent playing that stupid Bandle City card. Make us discard it and draw something else. Say, no thank you, my dude. No thank you. So I'm tempted to leave the Roiling Sands on board since the Ziggs is going to start throwing stuff to face. Like picking up the small unit here is not that big of a deal. And this will activate the Naturalist for next, or activate the Herald of the Magus for next turn.
Hey, wake up the hammer! I just can't wait. Here we go.
Here you go, Ziggs. Get the old Flipperino. Looks good, right? Sure. This is going to be lame. I can already tell this is going to be lame. The fuck is this thing? The tech guy? Grant tech allies everywhere 1/1 once you've cast a 6-cost spell. Okay, I read it. There's the vengeance. Sure. I knew he was going to do something not fun. So let's see. Let's at least sink our hooks in here. I want the big boys to be dealing damage. The small friends can go ahead and roll through. Let's take the value attacks on this one. I think we're kind of done worrying about board space. Like, I could see an argument for trading off the 2/2. Maybe we do this. Hang on. Just trade it away and open up the board space. We have a lot of stuff we want to throw on the board here. Kind of leaning towards on our next turn, just playing the Unraveled Earth, then destroying the Hexplosive Minefield. Now that we drew the removal spell, we're not going to go about it that way, but that was the original intent, was to get the space. Alright, what's this dum-dum about to do? 5/5 Jace. He goes for the quick attack. Okay. So we miss out on a couple of points of Ziggs damage this way, but it shuts down his attack, and then we should just have pretty good stuff going on next turn. Still intend to drop the Arsenal. Let's see.
Another day, another explosion.
I think we definitely want to drop the Arsenal now that he's added the 2 blockers to the board. Scout elusive. He did hit Scout. we didn't completely call the shot here. That's a pretty big one here with Spell Shield, Scout. Oh, oh shit! He did hit elusive. Fucking enjoy. Oh man. Say F you, Pantheon. We got better things going on. The no effort Pantheon's what we're dropping out here. Scout, Spell Shield, elusive. Fucking enjoy. Vengeance. That's lame. We're out here having fun, dude. Lame ass. But all right, let's hit it. He does get a good block onto our 4/4 with Jace, but we're slamming in so much damage. I think we want to just still bring it. All right. Need to blow up a landmark. There we go. We can send the 2 to face if we start blowing up landmarks. No. No. Fuck. Oh, we can do it like this, right? Get a burst kill. Destroy a landmark. Boost the other one. Boom at the face. What? That's what you get for messing with our arsenal, dude. Dropping double vengeances with Jace. Nah, man. Nah. All right. GG. Where are we at? 5-1. Let's get ourselves 2 more games in, and then we'll call it a day. Maybe we'll make our way up to Diamond 3 in the process. This has been going nicely. All right, reasonable start against the Lurker. We probably don't want Pokey Stick. Well, it's tough, right? There's one of the important ones to hit is that 1-cost Fearsome. But outside of it, he doesn't have a ton of targets. Let's just get rid of the stick. I don't think we're going to get enough out of it. You know, lead with the chemist as we're going to come down here and try to interact. Okay. I'd assume he has a 2-drop whenever they do that. I mean, technically he has the Waking Sands, but they're not going to throw away their unit and never lurk if they don't have it. And Sharkling. It's got all the dudes, my dudes. It's deciding if he wants to hit with that hatchling since it gets a trade. I'm fine. I'm just going to throw my units down. All right, those have been dealt with. Oh man, I want the I want the Ziggs on the other unit now, but this is okay. Snapjaw Swarm. That shit's annoying. Okay. I mean, we want the Taliyah stuff. We just don't have any landmarks at this point. we're gonna lose out on the bouncing bomb way before she's able to activate. But all right, we'll take the awkwardness here. This might be one of these spaces where we find ourselves just throwing away right at the arcane for a gem. This is scary. Oh boy, it's not just the lurk, it's the lurk with Rek'Sai. Oh, we are fucked. So many right of the arcanes. Oh, this is savage. Way too slow. And dumb Taliyah here can't even block these little lurkers. Well, I mean, we can Unleashed Energy her as a bad combat trick. Get her in front of one. She's not going to survive it, but... I don't know what other noises to make. That's what that noise is. I feel like it's appropriate. Alright, this one's done. Not enough action to handle the lurkers. But alright, let's get into our last one here. Battle number 8. Man, I haven't been talking about the football. There's been lots of stuff going on in the world of football these days. Russell Wilson making his move to Denver. That's exciting for us Chiefs fans. Don't have to watch 2 games a year of Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. And so, you know, it's unfortunate to make the division more challenging in terms of going deep in the playoffs and stuff. But man, in terms of having just good games all year around, it's pretty fantastic getting them added in. And then in terms of, you know, people talk a lot of shit about Derek Carr. He's the de facto worst quarterback in the AFC West. But I feel bad for him, man. He's not like like Patrick Mahomes level of quarterbacking, but he's still like exceptionally good. He's definitely not one of these people like Carson Wentz. I feel so bad for Carson Wentz these days. Everyone on the internet and all the TVs just shitting all over Carson Wentz like he's the worst quarterback in the league. Derek Carr's not at that level, and so it's a tough division. I'm curious how the Raiders would have panned out last season if they didn't run into a bunch of like energy issues with Waller and that dipshit killing the girl in Las Vegas, and how that would have all turned out. But yeah, I'm glad the Aaron Rodgers news is done with. Get that shit out of here. And then just feeling bad for Carson Wentz. It's like how I feel about Carson Wentz is like if you're one of these people that has like top aided the Pro Tour 3 times but never won it, like that's what it has to feel like, and that everybody's like, oh, he can't hack it, he doesn't have it, he's not good enough to take it to the big show, and just like he is way better than he just got picked up on a team. He's better than Kyle Allen and what's that other dude's name? Taylor Heineke. If they were the real deal, then Carson Wentz wouldn't have just got picked up. So feel bad for you, bro. At any rate, back to the action here. Not sure how this matchup is. I mean, Ziggs seems fine against all these things, but we have a lot of 1 health units running into a lot of hapless aristocrats, which is always a problem. But we should be able to like hold our width against a kindred. Just Little scary. I think this goes onto the hatchling, right? Yeah, that's one of the annoying things with summons. Okay, we'll just take the face damage. I don't think I'm willing to put Ziggs down to 1 with this soldier. Yeah, we'll just take the ping and accept that it sucks. Got 1 tick, just waiting for the moment he gets to. What the fuck, Ren Shadowblade? Alright, dude, I'm on board with what you're doing. I'm on board. All right, so let's get a little bit more action going now. I'm gonna drop the Rockhopper. There is the argument to start dropping like bouncing bombs off of the Ziggs here, but I think I'm more interested in sacrificing off something with the right of the Arcane, use it to take down Ren, and then have good attacks with our big units here. So let's destroy a landmark. I think that's a decent start. This should stun the Camaveran soldier, and then if he wants to follow up with a unit, it's going to get popped by the Roiling Sands. I don't think he'd be really excited to drop Vigio on this board, and so I don't think we have to worry about that. Okay. Man. This is what I was talking about in terms of, though, I didn't mention this deck earlier, but when I was worried about running into the like Bandle City Swarm decks, it's kind of the same problem, right? As they're out here dropping Conchologists and shit on the board, it makes it tough for us to chunk in the damage with our 1 health units, which is a big part of our early game. And the what are your names? Inventive Chemist and the Rockhopper. But let's pick up the Arsenal here. It's a little awkward in terms of like we need a landmark to blow up to get our Ziggs to flip, and then once we get our Ziggs flipped, we want to get the Herald of the Magus going, but we don't have like the interactivity to really pull all this off just yet. But we're gonna get boomed by Hecarim. That's there's no getting around this. Where's the man? I didn't even realize. I just saw the Shadow Isles Ionia and assumed he was playing. Kindred. All right, well, here's Ziggs. Ziggs is going to flip now. We can add the thing to give him Overwhelm. Still, I mean, with opponent at 18, this feels pretty bad. Pokey stick. Alright, Ziggs says he's ready to boom now, though. Oh, lame. What a lame-o. No other way to put it. Alright, the Arsenal. Let's show him how to have fun. Wonder if he opens on us. Doesn't look like a particularly strong open. What you got? Scout? Was that Scout elusive again? Scout spell. Scout spell showed elusive. We did it fucking twice. Learn from the master. All right. Learn from the master. Scout elusive spell shield. That's the fucking tits right there. Alright, this attack looks horrible. Not exactly sure what we're getting ourselves into, but we finally get to use our Ruven Runners. We can put Ziggs in front of Dum Dum over here. We'll block with the Arsenal on the unit where the Tough works. What's the worst we're going to run into? Like a Twin Disciplines? Okay. This seems like an awful spewy attack. Takes Hecarim up to 8. Kills our Ziggs. That's fine. Oh, is the Vigio gonna flip? I didn't do any math related to how much stats were dying. I don't think he is. Oh man. We should have been a little bit more careful there. Oh, fuck. No! No! F. Does he get our Arsenal, or does the Spell Shield stop that? Fuck. Fuck. I gotta take it all back. I gotta stop. Man, you did learn from the master. We just we botched that attack there. We should have not let him get anywhere near flipping. I just got so super excited that we were getting this bomb ass Arsenal going, and then I I didn't bother to see how close how close Vigio was gonna be to flipping. So that one's on me. That's not as bad as the failed quick attack challenge in our previous video, but that was pretty meh. That's what happens though, man. You get so excited with how awesome your units are going to be, and then you kind of let things slip. But nonetheless, I thought that was pretty fun. This is a pretty good and decent deck, I do believe. And again, I'm looking to take this into Gauntlet. Like I think the Gauntlet set that we used last week was fine. We played kind of like the 4 Demacia based decks, to where we're playing Action Siver, playing I should probably say it's kind of like 4 Demacia / Golden not Recall Shield, Golden Aegis, whatever. But we played Action Siver, we played Scouts, and then we played Yordles in Arms, Bandle City. And I'm looking to take the Yordles in Arms out and then put this in. And kind of the idea with that still is, this deck is pretty terrible against Yuumi Pantheon. I know we beat that twice today, but that's still a pretty bad matchup. We're just going to ban it. And then this is still strong against the rest of the decks. It's strong against Darkness. It's strong against the various things like Trundle Gnar. And it has just a lot of really big punch power. It's just the problem with this is the swarm decks, right? That game, we should have won that game in particular, but playing against the deck that has both Hapless Aristocrat and Vile Feast in it is fairly terrible. Running against the swarm decks again is fairly terrible, and so it does definitely have its weak points. I don't think this is the strongest ladder climber, but I don't know. I mean, we would have just been 6-2 today. So if you're winning at 75% win rate, then it's it's certainly a reasonable climber in those terms. And then in terms of the cards, at no point today did I want a Ancient Hourglass. At no point today did I want a Rite of Negation. I think it's pretty good that those are gone. I was pretty happy with the Ancient Preparations across the board, and I was pretty happy never casting a Pokey Stick. I think this Pokey Stick should become probably a Shaped Stone, just so you have the cheap combat trick, or you could take it out for another Preservarium if you want the landmarks. There were a handful of points to where it didn't feel like we had exactly enough landmarks. Like I could see the argument for adding in another Unraveled Earth, or even adding in something like Vicar and Vagabond, just to give us some early game interaction that also generates a landmark. But I think I would rather it be cheaper and on the spell end of things as opposed to another 3-drop. And so probably not amped about the Vagabond in a deck like this. But, you know, we got to show off all of the cool things this does, the Absolver and the Unleashed Energy, the early game aggression, the big overwhelm plays with your units that usually just get blocked by 1/1s. And so pretty cool and lots of fun. And so that is going to do it for us today. I hope everyone enjoyed the trial. You learned how to unleash the energy a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.